Welcome back to the latest episode of Taking Charge of My Cancer podcast. I have a very special guest today. This is Oscar Goolsby, and he is married with three adult children and two grandsons. And in 1999, Mr. Goolsby was licensed and ordained into a non-denominational ecumenical body, New Church of Faith in Orlando, Florida. He retained his ministerial license, and professionally, he's a retired RN, registered nurse, with over 32 years of clinical experience and administrative leadership in the acute care environment. His last duty assignment was an assistant chief nurse with the Department of the Veterans Affairs in Tallahassee, Florida. Mr. Goolsby retired May 31st, 2023, to focus on his health after having unresolved voice hoarseness. In March 2024, he was diagnosed with stage 3 laryngeal cancer. Mr. Goolsby had a total laryngectomy done on April 17, 2024, here at UF Health System, University of Florida in Gainesville, and he had undergone multiple medical surgical treatments or interventions to maximize his gastric life modification. And thank you so much, Oscar, for being here with me today. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you. So Oscar and I went back when he came as a patient after he had his consult, I believe was with radiation, right? So you saw radiation and then came and saw us after that, right? Yeah. And he did amazing. And that's why I think he has a lot of great information and a really great spirit and energy to really, like really motivate and help out a lot of patients that are going to listen to this. And not just patients, but really it's a very, it's something special about you that's why I've been after you for a little while, like, Oscar, will you do this with me? Will you do this with me? And he finally agrees. I'm really excited about this. So, will you tell us a little bit about yourself in your life diagnosed? No, on your life just before you're diagnosed.
Okay. My name is Oscar. I believe in taking care of the temple, my body, what I put in it, and where I take it. So I was going about my life, and I all of a sudden started having this hoarseness in my voice. And this was in 2017. And it was intermittent. I thought maybe it was just allergies. I went to my primary care doctor. He said, well, I'm going to refer you to an ENT. Went to go see an ENT. He did a laryngoscopy in the office. Didn't really see anything, but he did a differential diagnosis. And it's a standard one they go to, acid reflux, because sometimes acid reflux can cause hoarseness. Well, I just had an EGD done, an endoscopic exam with my GI doctor, and I knew that wasn't it because there was no evidence of reflux other than a hiatal hernia. So they put me on PPI therapy, proton pump inhibitors. So being a nurse for 35 years, bachelor's prepared, got a master's in business administration. So I was a smart guy. I said, well, I'll do it. I'll try it. So I tried the PPI. It just didn't work. So I went back to my primary care doctor. He says, there's a lot of literature that says there could be some deleterious effect from the PPI. If you don't need it, let's take you off and see what happens. So he took me off the PPI. The hoarseness went away, came back again. So that was in 2017. Fast forward to 2020. It just would not go away. So I moved to a new city, got a new primary care doctor. That doctor referred me to another ENT here in Tallahassee. I saw that person, and that ENT doctor says, uh, acid reflux.
Oh my God, you're kidding me.
You need to go see a GI doctor.
Oh my God.
So I said, look, we went through this before, but I want to be compliant. If you think this is what I need, I'll go see one. So I went to go see a GI doctor. He looked at me, examined me. He said, sir, what you have is not GERD. It is not a GI problem. He said, but it's time for you to have a second colonoscopy. So that's what we should focus on. So I went back to the ENT doctor. In the interim, he had referred me to a speech language pathologist
Mhm.
because he thought it was also muscle tension dysphonia, meaning that my vocal cords were tough and tight.
Mhm.
That's what he could see from his scope. I didn't know what he had seen because he used a fiber optic scope. It was a non-video scope, so only he could see what he was seeing.
Hmm.
So there was no way to record it to play back for me to take a look. So after a year went by going to see language pathology and the different tricks that they were trying to teach me to relax my vocal cord, I got a kick out of it because I can come home and blow bubbles with water. So I'm blowing straws because I'm compliant. You give me something to do as a therapist, I'm going to follow through. In the interim, I know a lot of people don't like going to do research on illnesses. I don't invite anybody to do that unless they know how to do it. Because of my training and my background, I just don't go to Google and take a look. I go to Google Scholar. So Google Scholar give research papers, white papers,
Okay.
various diseases and illnesses. And from that, I grab my questions for my clinician.
Mhm.
So when I go in, I have my telephone with all of my questions.
Mhm.
And most clinicians, they enjoy this. They'll say, yes, that's good information. But because of your particular situation, it didn't work. Or based on your findings, maybe it was such a function. So I sought a second opinion because over a year, and it just didn't get any better. So I told my primary care doctor that there was an ENT and you have a chance that I want to see. And so he wrote the consult referral.
Mhm.
And so in February of 2023 is when I start going to UF Health in Shands. And I tell you, I was so pleased with the updated equipment. I was able to see on a monitor what the doctor was seeing when he did the laryngoscopy. Look down. Immediately he says, your vocal cords are not closing. And he said, one of them a little thicker, the right side than the left side. He said, what we can do is we can continue to monitor it, or we can go into surgery and I can remove some of that tissue. He said that what it looks like, it does not look cancerous. I said, well, I've gone through this for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
He said, okay, we'll set you up for surgery. So I had surgery. They debugged some of the tissue, trimmed it down.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, okay, a week or so later, I should be able to talk. Well, that didn't work. So I continued to go to speech therapy to try to practice on phonation. Still wasn't improving much. The gastroenterologist gave me the NT doctor says, well, let's try a little filler since he can refill the vocal cords to make them close. So he gave me an injection. I had to go back to surgery again. And it was hyaluronic acid. I thought it was going to work again. It did not. That didn't work. He says, this is strange, but I don't think it's anything serious, Oscar. I don't think it's cancerous. I said, good. So we went on from there. Well, it got worse. My breathing started being affected when I would do anything that would cause the inertia to get
Mm-hmm.
walking up stairs.
And
And
you
to
were
do it.
very active there, right? You were working out and very active, physically active.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that was part of my routine. I
Mm-hmm.
would get on a treadmill 2 or 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not on the treadmill, I was out walking,
Mm-hmm.
lifting free weights.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very active.
Mm-hmm.
So healthy person. So when I developed stridor, I had to go to the emergency room here in Tallahassee. And so they treated me with a stridor. And then I made an appointment to go back to Chance again. They did another CAT scan, another laryngoscopy and looked in. And the doctor says, I think we need to take you back to surgery again. And this time, this was number 3. And so this third time was in March of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd gone from 20,
17.
2017 from the original start.
Mm-hmm.
It went away. And then in
Came back.
20, it's when it came back. And it
So this is already like almost 3 years dealing with this since came back the last time.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so this time, after the stridor, he went in and took some more tissue sample again. And this time the tissue sample came back with squamous cell carcinoma, stage 3.
Hmm.
And so this the ENT called me and he says, Oscar, is your wife available? I said, no, she's at work, but I can call her. So we got her on the phone and he shared with us what the diagnosis or the tissue sample showed at that.
Got you. And then you end up having then the laryngectomy, right? A
Yes,
total laryngectomy and then a neck dissection, right?
yes. And so from there, it was scheduled to see the ENT surgeon, which
Mm-hmm.
was a different doctor. I took the liberty to go get a second opinion. So I took the pathology report,
Mm-hmm.
my records, and I went to another tertiary healthcare center in Dan based on your pathology report. You have squamous cells, carcinoma, and she said, because you have rods in there, I think you should go ahead and have surgery. If you came to me, I would want you to have surgery, a total laryngectomy as well. She said, so you can come here or you can go back to UF where you've been going. I said, I'll go back to UF since they are already familiar with me. So we had a total neck dissection, cut from ear to ear. They removed 51 lymph nodes. And the 51 lymph nodes, one was positive. But they removed my vocal cord, my larynx, and half of my thyroid. And the surgeon came to my bedside after surgery the next day or so. And he said, well, the fresh frozen sample or the tissue sample says we got clean margins. So he said, that's very good. That's impressive that we got it all. I said, yes. So I'm thinking that was it. That it was all done.
Mm-hmm.
Just me deal. So that was April 17th of 2024. So I stayed a week in the hospital and discharged and came home with weeks of home health aid and physical therapy coming by. And I started doing all the things that I needed to do to get better.
Mm-hmm.
Because my favorite nurse theorem is Dorothea Dorothea, and her method of theory is self-care, nursing self-care, meaning that for nurses, we help the patient to do the best that they can for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
All my patients, I'm just an asset to you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's when people do the work.
Okay. Okay.
So, get that advice. I was going to take that advice. So I didn't want anybody to do anything for me.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do it for myself. And I contribute that to part of my.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember even when I met you, and I know like because one not being positive, right? That's why they want you to do radiation. And so you came back here for radiation, and that's when I met you. And from the first day I met you, it's like, yeah, we gotta be doing all this because you were already a few weeks into radiation, having some lymphedema on your neck, submentalis area already. And the ideal for us is to be able to see any head and neck cancer patient who is going to have a neck dissection and this kind of intensive surgery prior to surgery, so we can have some baseline, so we can compare what were you looking at before versus how you look after surgery. And then a lot of the education, because many times you get sent to home health with PT and OT, but unfortunately, a lot of the physical therapists and occupational therapists who work in home care not necessarily have a specialty in head and neck. So they're looking just to make sure that you can walk from point A to point B and you can move your arms and you're independent with your ADLs, or you can get dressed, you can take a shower. And if you can do all that, then you're good. It's really not much they can do for you, but really they don't address a lot of the, lack of mobility on your neck, any issues with the spinal accessory nerve damage from the neck dissection, lymphedema, TMJ, etc., that we will do right away 2 weeks after surgery. But we unfortunately didn't get to see you prior to surgery. We didn't get to see you after because you were getting home health. So we only got to see you when you end up here for radiation, just because fortunately our radiation oncologists refer everybody for PT. So we already are like man, we already has been losing like 6 weeks of treatment to get you down on your swelling on your neck before this radiation is going to start kicking in again because the inflammation that happens when you get in radiation. So from day one, you were like on the go. It's like, no, I'm going to learn this. So we're going to teach you really a fast course of how to do manual lymphatic drainage yourself, how to wrap it and compression and kind of get you going. And a good advantage that you had was that you were already so active prior to it. So for you to exercise and keep up with that during your radiation treatment was just going to keep you away from develop a lot of the cancer-related fatigue that we see in our patients when they're not active prior to it. So I know that you have a lot of, this is again, sometimes medicine does whatever they know of, and they try to kind of continue going into this course of, well, this is what the book says, this is what we do, and then we go into this medication, and then we refer you to GI and try this, if that doesn't work. So, their hearts were in the right place, but so many times it's like, we got to start looking at the whole picture here, right? So we need to stop looking at just whatever the books say, and then just really just like, okay, wait a minute. This has been going on already for a long time, right? That should be like a light bulb. Something else is happening. The body's telling you something else is happening. And even though you were in the right physician, right? You were in an ENT telling you these things, it's like, like took a while for that to happen. Will you find it earlier? They will be able to do less surgery and hopefully not losing your vocal cords and your larynx. We don't know that. But after treatment gets done, right? So you already have your surgery and then you're going to start radiation. Was any unexpected challenge or surprises during treatment that you got?
The surprise came back. Couldn't get rid of the hoarseness. And so I said, well, something is going on with my body, because you have to be in tune with your body.
Mm-hmm.
And our body tells us when something is wrong,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I knew something wasn't right.
Yeah. How about after treatment?
The treatment.
Yeah.
So after I had the surgery,
Uh-huh.
and the doctor said they got everything, I said, great. Well, that was April 17th. On my birthday, April 30th, I get a phone call from my surgeon nurse to tell me that the treatment plan is for me to have radiation therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, wait a minute.
I thought everything was fine.
The surgeon told me everything was fine.
Yeah.
That they got all the margins were clean.
Mm-hmm.
There was no evidence of cancer evading the
Mm-hmm.
lymphatic system. So why do I need radiation? She said, well, for you have 3% all tissue samples to the tumor board, which you are familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
And so that took me by surprise.
Okay.
And I was a little taken aback.
Mm-hmm.
It's exciting forward to go to radiation. Just went into my spiritual realm. God, you knew me. You knew I was in the belly of the
Mm-hmm.
all my things that I was evidence.
Mm-hmm.
So although this took me by surprise,
Mm-hmm.
it has not taken you by surprise.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever the treatment plan is for me to become well, you know, I'll do it. So I jumped into it. Let's do this. So it was 6 weeks
Mm-hmm.
of radiation, 5 days a week, a total of 30 sessions. And I tell you,
Mhm.
walk on the trail. So to do exercise with my mouth because I did not want to establish or develop trismus where I couldn't open my food to, and I would use that, but I wanted to because I knew bleeding tooth was just temporary for me
Mhm.
to get back to us. So,
Mhm.
but that's all this left. I'm going to get back to my how I do it. I'm going to do it. Focus on that. And I did my community. And I say my community, my support system. So that challenge with the radiation, my support system was there with me, my family, my church, and I just continue to have people that just pray for me through it and help me to stay positive and encouraged. So I was able to get through that disappointment of that news that I needed radiation therapy.
Mhm.
There was no chemotherapy needed or recommended.
Mhm. Okay. Good. And then during those 6 weeks, of course, you're having radiation every day. So you have to move here, right? And be here for a while, 6 weeks. And then I think weekends you were going home. So that gets very challenging, right? Because it's not just be here, kind of, when your daughter or your wife or whoever was able to be with you, they were here with you. But it's still, right? It's not your home, it's not your food, it's not a lot of things that challenge. So I really I feel you for just really you going through all this process and when we have patients who don't live here and then just really moving here for 6 weeks is a lot. It's a lot from the financial standpoint, emotional standpoint. You're lucky you have such a great support. So many people don't. So many people really try to do this by themselves or with a friend for minimum support. So that really it's hard. So how did you find your strength during these tough moments? You rely on faith, family, personal coping mechanism. What advice would you give for patients that are going through this right now?
to find whatever higher power you believe in. For me, it is my faith in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. But whatever faith mechanism that you have, tie into that. And don't try to do it alone. Invite your support system because there are people around who care. And sometimes we as patients don't want to invite other people into our circle. We think we're going to bring them down. But I always look for what I call my balcony people, people who are up high, lifting me up, and stay away from the basement people, the people who want to bring you
Yeah.
down, tell you, oh, it's a cancer, and she died. Well, that was your cousin, and that was her course in life.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna live. I die because of this. I think I will go and fight through this with God being my guide. It's a total life change for me.
Mm-hmm.
But the surgery has been life saving, but it's total life altering.
What is the major alteration in your life? I know speech was, of course, is a big part of it, right? I remember in the beginning when you were working with your TPE, I was like, and then you have, what is it, the Larry, I keep forgetting. Yeah, the larynx, and then it's so hard with the vibration, right, to try to understand. And I was like, all related into just reading your lips to be able to understand. And we were just practicing that. And look at you again, as just sitting here talking to me on a podcast for this amount of time we've been talking is not easy at all with the TPE, right? So a lot of the audience, definitely I'm going to be doing this on YouTube because then we can see you and then sometimes kind of really read your lips as well when we have been some in and outs of the sound, which is really hard to keep the same sound out of that. But look at how you become like so independent with your speech even, which I think was one of the more challenging things. Has been anything else more challenged than that?
That's one most challenging thing is the loss of my go to talk, particularly when I had the electrolarynx, and I would put it up to my neck to talk. People could not understand what I was saying,
Mhm.
and literally, it was so depressing that I wanted to communicate, and people would tell me, "No, no, no, don't talk."
Oh my God, that's terrible.
They would not tell someone where English is their second language
Yeah.
because they're having trouble connecting, trying to use
Mhm.
English as their second language to communicate.
Yeah.
Tell that person, stop,
Oh my God.
but they'll tell someone with a prosthetic voice or a non traditional way of speaking to be quiet, don't talk.
That's terrible.
It is terrible and it's depressing and can bring someone down
Mhm.
because when I talk, I want to be understood.
Of course.
Like that's been professional arena. I train professional nurses, train residents and doctors
Yeah.
out to their patients.
Yeah.
I have a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
For someone to try to silence me because I speak with a non-traditional voice.
Hmm.
And I tell them, no, don't do that to me. This is my voice. I'll slow down.
Hmm.
Look at this.
Perfect. Yeah. So So you tell them that, right? So you just don't, yeah. And again, this is all about advocating for yourself, right? Don't ever let anybody say, have no idea what you're saying, just like, okay, I like, in my case, again, this is my natural voice, but with a nice accent because I'm not from here, right? So I'm from Colombia, so I'm original Hispanic. So sometimes I have that as well after so many years to live here anyway, more than half of my life. And still people like, I don't know what you're saying. Or do you know how to speak English? A lot of those things that are like, in the beginning, maybe I was hurt by, and now I'm like, I'm using more like, you have absolutely no idea. And let me help you with your ignorance. And let me just teach you some little things about people who is different than you or come from a different country or have a different culture or a different voice or whatever it is. And so either I go by, we have two options. Either do you speak Spanish and we can speak in Spanish, or I can slow down very slow and then you can see what I have to say. Or I can bring an iPad and get a translator for you if you want me to. So, either one. But yeah, sometimes people is very cruel and it's just really that's not okay. So I'm so glad that you really don't let them do that to you and educate them and put a stop on that because you always will have your voice. You always have that knowledge and whatever else in your head, you should never hold back from saying it. And that's one of the reasons why I want you to do this podcast because I knew you have so much to say, versus like, oh no, how are we going to do this? Because I know you were nervous about this. Well, people will hear what I have to say. Will people can this work? How the sound is gonna be, all those things. And it's like, doesn't matter, right? The most important is we find a way for people to hear your voice, right? And to hear what people like you is going through. Because this is the rest of your life, right? At least something else coming up. This is it, right?
It's called a hands-free device where I can speak where I do not have to press the button, but it comes off very, and it's kind of hard for people to hear me.
Okay.
They're very close.
Okay.
So I told someone that I was going to be doing this with you, and they suggested that I use my hand free
Okay.
as well. I want to be.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
The person said to me, and the person means well. Well, Oscar, whenever you touch your stoma with your finger, you draw attention to your disability.
Mm-hmm.
Again,
Who cares?
it's another educational
Oh my God.
look. I'm sorry you view this as a disability,
Yep.
but this is not a disability.
Yep. That's an
This
ability.
is my ability.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Without this, I couldn't. It's,
Yep.
it is the
Yep.
cause of this.
Yep. Yep. That's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah. Again, it's the perception of people, right? And then sometimes until you don't either be in somebody's shoes like you or work around people like you, sometimes just people just, it's not tactful at all, right? To make those comments or the looks or whatever. I'm sure in your same community, how many times in your same church community, people turning around like, oh my God, what is he talking funny? Or what's going on with that, right? When you're thinking, really? Like you're a minister, you're like an amazing person and like, all full of knowledge. It's like, so I really hope that you're able to really continue fighting for yourself and your rights and just teach people to see things different for what they see sometimes. So definitely this is great. So how did your diet change in like on a daily routine going through all this treatment after? Did you have to make some difference on your swallow, your diet?
So
Yeah, sure. So he's drinking some water, so we kind of passing a little bit here, there. Yeah.
part of what we go through with people with the prosthetic voices, with sputum or air, we swallow that and we have to clear our throat.
Okay.
But back to what I was saying, when sometimes, where were we now?
Diet. Any diet modifications? Yep.
Because of the soreness of my throat, I'd eat salt food. But then as I progressed to my normal diet, I have no dietary restrictions
Okay.
other than making sure I chew my food well,
Okay.
because part of my surgery was adding a free flap, which is taking skin from my arm, and they put it in my throat.
Mhm.
So my normal swallowing peristalsis,
Mhm.
the way you take food from your mouth down to your stomach, has changed. So it doesn't move as smoothly as it does for normal people.
Mhm.
So I have to make sure that I chew well and drink water to help flush it down.
Okay.
That's the only dietary change. Other than that, my feeding tube was taken out back in June, no, July 16th. So the feeding tube came out,
Perfect. Mhm.
and I maintained weight.
Good. Excellent. So, looking back, is there anything you wish you had known earlier about head and neck cancer?
You know, before I had my surgery, there was pretty much nothing that I did not know about what I was going to go through.
Okay.
Contacted uh, support people, support group
Okay.
for head and neck cancer.
Okay. Will you repeat that again at the end? I couldn't hear you.
It's support for people
Mhm.
with all head and neck cancer.
Mhm. Is that
So
the Alliance, Head and Neck Support, the Alliance group?
yes,
Okay. Mhm.
I feel, and that's there everybody in my community.
Great.
It's a total energetically that I can talk to.
Mhm.
They didn't have anyone in my area.
Mhm.
But then I contacted Larry Speakeasy.
Mhm.
Larry Speakeasy emailed me back. They still didn't have anyone in my area. But with Steve Cooper,
Yeah, it's a great group. Actually, I interviewed Larry in one of the podcasts. That was great. The
yeah,
person who started with the program. Yep.
Steve Cooper.
Yes, Steve Cooper. Yep. Yeah.
So Steve emailed me. He contacted me with a support group out of Maryland.
Okay.
And they by Zoom. So I was one of the first person that ever joined their group
Great.
having surgery.
Okay.
So I was able to talk to a whole host of people, different ages, different race, different sex,
Perfect.
about their experiences. And they were all encouraging to me that Oscar, go through it, you'll do well. So I was already active in terms of
Perfect.
what the surgery was going to be about and what I needed to know.
Great. And I will put on the no shows some of the links for that a couple of support groups as well, so people can kind of like reach out to them as well. So if you could give an advice to someone newly diagnosed, what would you say?
First advice would be do your research from the moment you get your diagnosis, plan your care, know what you're going to be entailed. This is not an easy surgery to have. It was a 12-hour surgery for me,
Mhm.
but it is something that will save your life, but it will modify your life drastically in terms of the ability to speak. But you'll find a non-traditional way of speaking. I used to love going swimming. I can't go swimming anymore because if I swim, water goes in my stomach, I drown.
Mhm.
Showering, I have a special device that I put on to shower.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of different things that we have to learn to deal and cope with. Otherwise, normal people would not have to do
Okay.
G level. It's almost back to my pre-surgery. So I would tell that person to get active, stay active throughout it,
Mhm.
and reach out to a support group,
Great.
someone who has gone this journey before you, because this is what it will take to get you through it.
Mhm.
To know that someone else has walked this journey
Mhm.
and be patient with yourself
Mhm.
because you can do it. You just have to be diligent
You got it.
and listen to your clinicians. And if they give you something to do,
Good.
like you gave me good exercises to do,
Mhm,
I would go home and I would practice them.
mhm,
And people at my house, they would say, he's doing his exercises.
mhm,
Those things are needed
mhm,
because some people would do the exercise when they come to clinic
mhm.
and put them down.
Yep,
And it does not benefit them. They know
exactly, exactly. Yep,
it's your clinician, but you can't fool yourself. Your body will tell you that you're not doing what you should be doing.
yep. That's a great advice. And for the, again, the new people diagnosed out there, try to find as well, um, like a multidisciplinary team type of situation where you see in the ENT, you see in the nurse navigators, you see your physical therapy, occupational therapy. It's going to be speech language pathologists. It's super important. The sooner we get to see you, the better off you're going to be because we can really avoid for all these fibrosis to land. This lymphedema is not just from what you see outside, but as well what's happening inside your larynx, which is going to affect your swallow, is going to affect your speech as well. So the more we can, really address that early on, the least amount of trouble you're going to have afterward. And again, this is something that perhaps, on and off with Oscar, he knows to reach out to me. Like if he feels, something is off, like I'm feeling some fibrotic or you're concerned about some swelling a few months back, and so he knows to reach out to me and like just come all over, even though he has to do a little drive to get here, but let's make sure everything is looking good. Let's make sure that we are not regretting or something is happening. So again, just being vigilant, right, about what happened and try to really navigate through that. The sooner, the better.
And I would totally do one diagnose.
Mhm.
You have to be your best advocate
Yep,
for your health care
yep,
because I had to self-refer to chance to
mhm,
eventually get the proper diagnosis.
mhm, yep,
Also, I needed the lymphatic pump.
lymphedema pump. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And the doctor said it's a good idea to have. However, my insurance company said that that was experimental by head and neck
Mhm,
and they wouldn't approve it. Well, my motto is I never accept a no
mhm.
from
Perfect.
anybody who
Mhm,
doesn't have the authority to say yes.
mhm.
So my first no that I get, I don't accept that
Yep,
because that person is following a script.
yep.
That person does not have the ultimate authority.
Mhm. Yeah,
So I kept pushing my insurance company, and they later that
yeah. And that has been a great tool for you, right? A lymphedema pump. So that has been bringing really great outcomes. So what keeps you motivated and inspired today? And then I'll let you go.
looking forward to what's next God has for me.
Mhm,
Because what I'm going through, it was a surgery that I had to go through. I know God could have healed me supernaturally, but He chose this method so that I can show other people
mhm,
through faith that there is another opportunity.
mhm.
We can do this thing right.
Yep.
So if I can do it with a hole in my neck, certainly you can do it with a hole in your pocket.
Amen. Excellent.
So we can do things as a way to ensure that we leave this world a better place than we came in because the world is better because each of us can. If we just trust God and respect our fellow men and women as true, treat the creatures of God see me and hear my voice, yes, it startled some people. They turn and look, and I smile
Mhm.
to feel encouragement for someone. So thank you for this opportunity for this, because this is giving me a new medium.
Mhm.
I can use this as my
Yep,
mode to communicate
absolutely.
journey to other people. So I
Yeah.
thank you for pushing me out of my comfort zone.
Thank you, Oscar. That has been amazing. That has been great. Thank you so much. Yes, I know. I know you were like, I remember your face the first time I mentioned it. You're like, I'm just gonna put it on my prayers. Let's see what happened. And I'm like, hello, Oscar. Anything is your prayers? Is any, any answers yet? And so I'm so glad we did it. I really appreciate it. I know it's a big effort for you doing this, but I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Right? If I did, yeah, up to you. Barely ask my contact information.
Thank you so much, and you have a great evening.